Hi, welcome to Salt and Burn This. I'm Sami.
And I'm Valerie.
And this is our Supernatural Rewatch podcast.
Each week, we're going to break down an episode in order with lots of details, so nothing's left out.
And we throw in some personal nuggets and stories and research to mix it up just a little bit.
Because not only are we fans of the show, but like Sam and Dean, we've also had our fill of road trips.
Yeah, but for theater, not for hunting ghosts and demons.
And not in a super sexy muscle car.
Anyway, shall we?
We shall. I mean, not to state the obvious, but it's getting darker sooner and sooner.
Mm-hmm.
I have to keep changing my my automatic lights that I have turned on outside, like my Christmas lights.
To go earlier and earlier.
And I don't realize it until I'm like, God, it's dark. Why aren't my lights on? Oh, it's because it's 2:00 and it's pitch black outside. So I was, oh God, Christmas lights. Okay, short story.
Mm-hmm.
I set up my outside Christmas lights. That's actually one of the things I like to do because it's just wrapping it around the banister, Not a whole lot of design involved in that. So I did that, and I was very pleased with myself to see my lights on when I come home. And then I went and I got my Christmas tree. And I was like, oh, where are my Christmas lights? They're outside, wrapped around my banister. I could have sworn I had lights for outside and inside. Yeah. Well, it turns out I do. I put my inside lights outside. And so then I had to take down my outside lights, my inside lights outside to bring them inside to put on my tree so I could decorate my tree. And then I had to find my outside lights to put outside. But because they're my outside lights, there's a little bit of, let's just call weather fusion happening to them. So I tried to pull them apart so I could start fresh and redecorate. I ended up pulling so hard that I pulled the prongs out of the plugs. Oh. So I now have trash lights.
Okay.
And no lights outside. So I have lights in my trash can and no lights outside. But I do have lights on my tree. So
that's good.
Isn't that? Yeah. And I don't have time or money to go and buy new lights, So I thought I was off on the right foot for the holidays. Yeah. And I got very much a Chevy Chase Christmas vacation happening here.
A friend of mine who I went to high school with in Kansas, he posted on his stories how he put up Christmas lights for the first time on his house. And I asked him, how adult do you feel right now? And he's like, my back is in so much pain. My back and shoulders from clinging onto the roof of stabling. And I said, you need to remember that, screenshot this, save it for next year when, because he was saying I definitely am going to outsource this next year. And it's you need to screenshot this so you remember by the time next year when you're I'll just do it myself. It wasn't that bad. Somehow put a reminder on your phone for this to flash up for you.
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. Season 5, Episode 8, Changing Channels. Dean and Sam are thrown into an alternate universe by the Trickster where they are characters in different TV series. Written by Jeremy Carver and directed by Charles Beeson.
I will admit that after I watched this episode, I did go online and do the thing I said I don't do, and I read reviews because I was so initially bummed out by this episode. At first I thought it was the acting, but then I realized it was the writing. And part of the thing that made me upset was how Dean and Sam were portrayed. Not the acting of Jared and Jensen, but the way the characters were portrayed in this episode.
Yes.
Because I did not like it. I thought it was beneath them.
Okay. All right.
I did read what people had to say to see. I needed some validation, and I didn't get it. So it makes me.
I was going to say, because on IMDb, I think this is the second highest rated episode of the series.
They submitted this. The WB submitted this episode for an Emmy. This was the episode that they submitted for an Emmy, and so I need to take a step back from Valerie. But I need to also let you know that there was one scene in particular, not out of the entire episode. If I can take that scene out, the rest of the episode, I'm all in. All in. But this one scene, this one bit.
I'm curious to know what it is, because I don't feel as strongly about this episode as you do, except for, I mean, you could probably guess, but yes, it's how they always point the fault at poor little Sam.
Poor Sam. Yep. Always.
They do not let up.
And it's not just once. They don't do it just once in an episode. They don't just be like, hey, reminder.
Yeah.
It's like salt in the wound, salt in the wound, salt in the wound. Oh, and by the way, this was your fault.
Yes. Starting with the then. Nice little transition there. All of the then recap is basically it's Sam's fault for starting the apocalypse and letting Lucifer free. With the exception of, you know, some of the vessel stuff in there. And then, of course, we get the scenes from past Trickster episodes, like the mystery spot and his first appearance. So, hey, guess who's going to show up in this? But we're getting to the part of the season where the recap is just the same thing over and over again. Which is, it's your fault, Sam. So, fuck off, Supernatural.
Indeed.
All right.
As the caption stated, Sam and Dean are thrown into like TV shows, TV episodes. And one of the episodes that they get thrown into is a doctor drama, like an ER type of show. And I watched it and I was like, oh, the people who are the actors in this episode must be from a soap opera, must be from, you know, a hospital show.
Yes. Uh-huh.
I was very disappointed to learn that they weren't.
No.
But in my discovery, I did find that one of the characters...
Dr. Piccolo, is that what you're going to bring up?
No,
the woman? Oh, okay.
I was going to bring up Dr. Sexy.
Oh, Dr. Sexy, okay.
Dr. Sexy. Because he just has one of those faces where, again, you've seen this actor everywhere. The performer's name is Steve Bachich or Basic, depending on how you're going to pronounce his last name. He was on NCIS. He was on ER. He was on CSI Miami, ... But he was also on Stargate SG-1.
Oh my gosh, it's been a while since that one's been brought up.
Been a while. There's another actor on this show who, again, I thought the person who was playing this character must have been this character on another show. Not. The game show host. I was like, clearly this guy has been a game show host. No, he has not been. He is not a real game show host. He's just fabulous in a shiny silver suit. Also, X-Files, Smallville, and Stargate SG-1.
Nice.
So that is had to get that out. But what were you going to say about Dr. Piccolo? We haven't even gotten to her scene yet.
We haven't. Okay, so Dr. Piccolo, the main woman in the Dr. Sexy series, yes, the slapper, she shows up in Supernatural again in the final episode.
Oh, what? No, is that Christy Chatelaine? Is that her name?
I didn't write her name, I'll be honest. The character's name was, I don't know if I'm going to spoil it for the last one.
Okay.
Dr. Piccolo.
That's okay.
But, yeah.
Okay. Into the episode that we've now vaguely talked about. Out of order.
It's okay. It's been a while. We're getting back into the flow. So our now is an unusual one. So we get
Tis.
Supernatural is filmed before a live studio audience. Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
That's my background music.
That was very convincing.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Supernatural, not written as Supernatural as in a la X-Files font. Yeah. It's written in like this Full House style font. It's bright, like the scene is bright and bubbly. It's the name of the motel that we see is the something in Sands, like Sun and Sands.
Sun and Sands, yes.
Sun and Sands. motel. There's palm trees. It's bright. And there's canned freaking studio laughter.
Yep.
Which it always cracks me up when they say filmed in front of a live studio audience, but the laughter is all canned.
Yeah.
I hate canned laughter.
I do too.
So it did not start me off on the right foot with this. Like, what are we watching? Yeah. Chirpy sitcom music.
Yes.
And
yeah. Dean is building like a cartoonishly tall skyscraper sandwich.
Yeah, I call it a Dagwood.
Oh yeah, it was like a giant Dagwoody type of thing, which is hilarious to the canned laughter. Sand comes in, you get the cheers of the like, woo, our favorite actor
comes in. Yeah.
Asks about the research that he's done, which Dean is like, I did research all night.
All night.
Cute hot lady in a bikini coming out.
Of the bathroom. Yes. We have more research to do. Do you know she's wearing like kind of a busty Asian beauties type of bikini?
Yeah.
It was Asian style.
I guess so, yeah. Floral.
Like pattern. Yeah.
It was big in that time.
I mean, this whole scene is very like Married with Children. Anytime that Kelly opens the door. It was a
combination of all of those sitcoms from anywhere from the 60s to the 90s.
Yeah.
It was like truly a blend of all of those cheesy kinds of sitcoms that have terrible acting.
Yes.
Terrible plot lines, terrible writing.
Yep.
Where Sam does an exaggerated Dean, and then Dean does an exaggerated catchphrase of son of a bitch.
Yeah. Okay. So just for the record, this is what I hated the most was the hands on the hip, Dean, I'm chastising you. And Dean literally being so stupid that I'm like, he would never be this. This is what I hated was these two characters in this moment. I know it's part of what the trickster
it's part of the
has
shtick.
Created, but I hated it. I thought
they did really well at emulating the kind of acting that you see on these sitcoms. So in a way, it's good acting.
It is, but I hated my characters being put in that. I hated.
Oh my God, Valerie! I'm so rolling my eyes at you.
I know, but I hated it.
They were having fun. They were having fun.
Oh,
you could really tell that they were like, "Yes, we hate this." Yeah,
I couldn't tell there because here's the thing: in this first scene, we don't know what's going on.
Yes.
We don't know
what's going on. And then we continue to not know what's going on because the opening title's completely different from what is usually there.
There's no title splash.
No, it's 100% like a sitcom opening song. And that song was amazing.
Well, and of course, and it has them because they're two bros who are hunting ghosts and they scare each other with flashlights.
Yeah, I was totally going to look up the lyrics or play the song, but it was...
Oh, don't. Please don't.
Oh, what's wrong with you? This was amazing.
God, I guess I'm just.
You are not going to get the validation from me because I enjoyed every minute of this.
I told you I didn't get any validation. This one scene, that's it. Just literally the Dean and son of a bitch killed me. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
That's what they're supposed to do.
I know, but I was not like, ooh, what's happening? I was like, what is this shit? That's what it was. It was like, what is this shit?
Oh, you are crotchety today.
I know.
But I loved these opening credits. The font is totally pulled from Full House.
Right.
It's 100% the Full House font. The openings it's a unique opening. They're not copying like frame for frame something else, but could be Full House. It could be Laverne and Shirley. It could be Bosom Buddies. It could be any buddy.
Bike. It was, them playing,
Jared on that fucking moped where he's this giant with his knees up to his ears. That was hysterical.
Do you know that that's his personal mini bike?
No.
Yeah. I thought that maybe they kept them after this episode and rode them around on set. No, those were already on set because Jared and Jensen have mini bikes.
Oh my God.
Those were their personal mini bikes that they keep on set.
Oh my God.
Isn't that hysterical?
That is hysterical.
Yeah. Those are their
mini giant man on the tiniest motorized bike you've ever seen.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, brilliant. They're like, what can we throw in here?
Yes.
What goofy fun stuff. I loved how they did it. I'm done with that. And no title splash. which I was a little disappointed by. We do get a Chiron though, you know, and it's this is taking place in 2 days earlier in Wellington. Is that right? Yeah, Wellington, Ohio. So I was like, okay. So what happened 2 days ago?
Yeah.
That brought us
obviously something is going on.
Something's gone on. And it's a shot of like a nurse or a doctor walking down a hospital hallway. Which is typical for Supernatural. Obviously, someone's going to die or something.
Yes,
or be brought into the hospital. And these
but with music that is very unlike a Supernatural background music.
I kept calling it not what did I call it? Jewel. It was like Jewel type.
Yeah,
music.
It wasn't
breathy.
Jewel, but it was kind of that slow, sad lady something singer-songwriter kind of vibe.
Yes. The poet who lives in her car, singing songs. But yeah, so it's definitely not Supernatural music. Doctor walks into an open elevator where there's a nurse waiting, and just as the doors close, you see them madly embrace each other and start to make out.
Yes.
And just as they do that, the texture of the screen changes.
This was a cool transition where they went from, you think we're watching like they're a real thing. And then the static of a television, and then you see Dean watching a shitty television from the motel.
Right.
It's a grungier version of the one that they just played the previous scene in. So it still has that retro flower wallpaper, but like
it's not as
well
bright,
kept.
but it's still green, and but it's definitely they've got the color wash down.
Yeah,
It's definitely muted. Sam is like, "What are you watching?" And Dean tries to walk it off, like, it's just channel. Yeah, it just happens to be on.
I think it's called Dr. Sexy MD.
Dr. Sexy, yes.
So this is absolutely a play off of Grey's Anatomy.
100%.
I've never really watched the show. I've maybe seen an episode of it, but
Grey's Anatomy was my introduction to Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Oh, really?
And they did a little shout out to him in this.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'll get to my Jeffrey Dean story later when the story gets to him.
Got it. So Sam's teasing him because he's like, "What are you, menopausal?" Yeah. So off they go to interview the sheriff, who has a decapitation case. Who he says it's a bear. He said that the wife said it's a bear. However, the wife says it's the Incredible Hulk.
I think it's funny that they're like the sheriff says, so it was a bear, and Dean's like, really? A bear? So a bear chased this man through the woods, through his front door, up the stairs into his bedroom, and then killed him.
Yes. I loved when she says finally, reluctantly, I saw the Incredible Hulk do it. Dean asks sarcastically or cheekily, Banna or Norton?
I love her. She's like,
I love her response of saying like, no, those movies were terrible. It was Lou Ferrigno, duh.
The TV show.
Unlike, because you think that she would be like, what's wrong with you? Like that was, right. What, are you crazy? But she went along with it.
She knew what she saw.
She knew what she saw. She only says, are you crazy? When Dina's like, well, did Lou Ferrigno have a grudge against your husband? That would be unbelievable. Yeah.
That would be crazy. Yes. Yes, indeed. I used to watch The Incredible Hulk as a kid.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. And I never questioned how he turned into the Incredible Hulk with his ripped pants and ripped shirt, and then turned back into Dr. Banner, yeah. And wasn't naked. Like that was never a question. He changes back and he's back in his regular clothes. I used to love that show. I don't know why.
I've never seen it.
Yeah. You will laugh.
I did see both of these movies that she's referencing, or that Dean is referencing. I will agree they are not good. I don't remember much about him. Mark Ruffalo does a much better Hulk.
Oh, yes. Yes.
He's like perfect as Hulk. They did it right with Mark Ruffalo in this universe, the Smart
rendition. Yes, exactly.
So you had problems with the acting, or at least the characters in the opening scene. I felt kind of weird here because I felt like Sam was less bedsidey or calm than he usually is. For me, it was like, you seem really on here and pointed. It's almost like my working theory is they did a scene prior, like the one that was later in the episode, that maybe they had filmed it before. The one where there does involve some overacting. And then they did this later, and he still
still in the
was in that mindset a little bit. It kind of felt similar, but I was like, this doesn't feel like Sam's usual interrogation.
Yeah, he definitely was leaning, leaning forward into it, as opposed to
a minor nitpick of mine. But
no, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Yeah. My big question was, why would the Hulk kill her husband?
Right.
That was but it turns out that her husband was a jerk. Started bar fights, and apparently started a bar fight with the wrong guy.
He also had charges about spousal battery. So more than just bar fights, he was, domestic violent man. Yeah. Or you wouldn't like him when he's angry.
Yeah.
So Dean is finding that research out while Sam went to the crime scene itself and found a Hulk-sized hole in the wall.
I just love the image of an anything-sized hole.
Yes, shaped of the thing that went through.
Yes,
like a perfect cutout of a giant man or bear or what have you. But also a bunch of candy wrappers.
Yep. Dun, dun, dun.
Sweet Tooth, Just Desserts, Hothead being killed by TV's hottest hothead.
Yeah.
Must be the
trickster. And because I'm influenced by these reviews, I will pepper them in here. Somebody wrote that there's a number of times that they break the fourth wall in this episode. Not as in look to the camera or, look pointedly at the audience, but they say things that acknowledge the fact that they are actors in a TV show, that sense of breaking the fourth wall. So in this moment where Dean says, good, let's go after this guy, because I really want to kill him. I hate him. Let's kill the bastard. I've hated him since Mystery Spot.
Yeah.
This was one of the fourth wall breaks. Now, I thought he was just calling out the location.
It was the location.
Right. But he didn't say the Mystery Spot. He said since Mystery Spot, which is why I'm sure this person said he's calling out the TV show. That's just one. Okay. I knew that you would roll your eyes at because I think it happens 4 times, and each time you can actually explain it away. But the fact that it happens 4 times makes me go, maybe it could. So Dean wants to kill him. Let's go kill the trickster. Sam, of course, is like, slow your roll. Let's talk to him. Let's kill him. Let's talk to him.
Yeah.
Because he's a powerful guy. He could probably help us with the whole apocalypse thing.
Angel demon thing. And if he doesn't agree, then we'll kill him. So
exactly, which I thought was very, very smart of Sam.
Yes.
So Dean's like, okay, we can do that.
Yeah. So in order to find him, they're listening to the police scanner for something weird. They hear something weird, and then they go to the scene, but there is no scene happening.
Yes.
It's like empty. No cops, no hubbub, no nothing.
Nothing.
So then they walk through the door.
In preparation for this, though, they made some steaks, not as in grilled steaks, but they whittled some steaks. They're ready to meet the trickster. They're like ready to run him through. So you're right. They go through door number 4. Ringing up that number 4 again. And burst into what we think is going to be this like sawmill, paper mill, old warehouse. And it turns out that they walk onto
a hospital.
A hospital set. Yes. And not only do they walk onto the set, they are no longer carrying their killer steaks. They're not wearing their flannels. They're in scrubs and white doctor coats.
Yes. And holding clipboards and pens and things like that. And then this woman, who was the same woman that was furiously making out with the doctor in the elevator, comes up and slaps Sam, not once, but twice, in an act of passion of him being a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant coward.
Brilliant coward. Love that. I absolutely love, because not only does she just slap him and he doesn't slap her back, his reaction is, ow.
Yeah.
And confusion.
Yes.
So that when she slaps him again, he's still just like, what is your problem?
Yeah.
And she does this very soap opera, you're terrible, you're a coward, but everyone still loves you. And then she walks away in a huff.
Yes. Dean is very excitedly knows who she is. So that's Dr.
Like,
Piccolo from Dr. Sexy MD.
Sexy. And Dean starts looking around. He's like, oh my God. He starts recognizing characters.
He knows not only all the character names, but also their traits. Like, that's the brooding doctor, whatever. I don't remember all of them, but every character name that he comes up with has at least 2 adjectives that he uses to describe them.
Yeah, Sam's like, not a fan. Right?
No. And when Dr. Sexy himself comes up to Dean and starts berating him for some sort of surgical face transplant thing that he did not do.
Why didn't you?
He knows it's not actually Dr. Sexy because he's wearing regular sneakers instead of his usual cowboy boots.
Sexy cowboy boots.
Which is what makes Dr. Sexy sexy.
Right. So here's, I'm going to bring you back to, this is where Jeffrey Dean Morgan came in.
Oh, okay.
Not himself, but the character.
Mm-hmm.
On Grey's Anatomy, he played basically a dying patient. And this dying patient was heartbreaking, this character. And one of the lead doctors falls in love with him, marries him so that he has, he's experienced marriage before he dies. And he dies. Unfortunately. And so his ghost not haunts her, but she is so distraught with her loss that she thinks she sees him everywhere.
I see.
So that doctor who was at the end of the hall talking to the patient who was sitting on the gurney, and Dean was explaining that there's
that's
even
the ghost
in this. That was a shout out to Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character on the show, Denny.
That's awesome.
Yeah. If you ever want to see the softer side of Jeffrey Dean Morgan, watch. It's only a few episodes that he's on, but it's the reason why I started watching Grey's Anatomy in earnest was because of his storyline. He was so good. He was just so freaking good. So I love that. I love that they did that little call out.
It was a little Easter egg.
Yeah.
Got
indeed. It. Oh God, I love that. I have to go. I have to do one more side story. I'm so sorry. So with Dr. Piccolo slapping Sam, that there's this one line that always comes back to me from my rehearsal days, because whenever you do something in a scene and you have to do the scene over and over again, you're like, okay, let's take it from the so-and-so. Let's take it from your entrance. Let's take it from the thunderclap. There's an opera we were doing where somebody was getting slapped. And it was just so much easier in the music to say, let's just take it from the slap. Which means that whoever was getting slapped had to get slapped every time we took it from the slap. And after the 5th time, we're like, let's just take it from the slap. He's like, can we not take it from the slap? Can we do it anywhere else? We'll go to the top. Let's not just, it was just so funny that he's like, can we not take it from the slap? So I can only imagine whenever I see these types of scenes, I'm like, there had to have been somebody said, let's just take it from the slap.
Yeah. And was he really getting slapped?
He was, because it was opera.
I've actually been live slapped on stage before also.
Yeah. Sometimes it's actually easier.
It is. It's
than to try to coordinate.
Just do it.
Just slap me.
Not too hard. Don't make it look real, but not like you're going to twist my neck around, because it was a guy who was slapping me. So I was like, ease back.
Try not to deafen me when you cup your hand over my ear and you slap me, or try not to poke me in the eye when you slap me. Yeah. Absolutely.
Sometimes it is easier.
It's easier, but can we not take it from
let's not take it from there. Okay. Anywho, sidebar over. So it's not Dr. Sexy because he has no cowboy boots. Voila, it's not. It's the trickster.
It's the trickster. It's a very Dean thing, which I was so glad he snapped out of his fanboy, because he was totally mooning over to Dr. Sexy.
Yes.
And so he snapped out of it finally, you guys figured it out.
Yeah. And pauses the entire scene around them.
Everybody else freezes except for them. But he's very proud of himself, the trickster. He's like, look what I've created. It's my own set. It's my own actors. Isn't this great?
Which is pretty great. He agrees that he will hear them out. He'll hear their case if they play the game that he is throwing them.
But that's it. There's no he doesn't say any, there's no explanation. And then he's like, snap, and they're back into everyone starts moving again. They're doctors again. I won't go into the doctor introduction scene. As Sam and Dean are walking down a hallway trying to figure out what the trickster meant by play the game, a character goes up to Dean and says, my wife really needs that face transplant. Why won't you give it to her?
Yeah, he just brushes us off as not real. It's just we got bigger things to do. This is just TV, blah, blah, blah. And then this patient is so distraught that he shoots Dean in the back, which was indeed real.
Evidenced by Dean going, it's real. It's real.
Yep.
Yeah. And the blood, seeing a gunshot wound in his back.
Yeah.
Sam calls out for a doctor, which again, hysterical.
Wearing a doctor's coat. Yeah.
Yep. We need a doctor, which is your instincts, So the next thing we see is Dean on the operating table, face down.
Awake.
Right. Awake.
That's what got me is you're awake?
With Sam
and talking to him. Sam? Yeah.
Yes. Surrounded by nurses and doctors. And they're like, what do we do, doctor? And
he's like,
Sam's
I don't know.
I don't know. And Dean is like, make it work.
Do something.
And play the game.
Yeah. So then Sam calls out for a penknife, dental floss, and a fifth of whiskey, which is I couldn't tell if this was a little mini MacGyver call out. A quick cut, and then now Dean is all magically sewn up with the dental floss. He's healed, hooray! And Dr. Piccolo is so proud of her brilliant coward.
She's literally, if she had just done this, done the heart hands, yes, through the glass, she's weeping. I love you. You did it. I'm so proud of you. And Sam's just like, what? What is going on? And the next thing we see, because Dean has been face down in the donut hole of
massage table.
Yeah. And he's been looking at the floor, which is this brilliant blue floor, which then suddenly turns into doors opening. And suddenly this outrageously gregarious Japanese man comes bursting through the door, and we are no longer in the operating studio. We are on a game show set.
Yes.
Everything's being said in Japanese.
Yep.
So not only does this guy in a fabulous silver shiny suit come waltzing through, and he's literally Mr. Hey, we've come, this is the game show, and we're going to have a great time, and da 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 da. What we notice is Sam and Dean are also on this game show set.
Yeah.
But they're
strapped into these very strange contraptions where their legs are braced and strapped in wide open, in a straddling position, but standing. So they're standing, but straddled, and their waists are strapped. So they can't move off of this thing.
There's a buzzer that they can each hit
on the
a
top.
Plunger.
Yeah.
Yep. And so while Sam and Dean are kind of taking this in, the game show is still happening around them while they're just going, what? So it turns out that now they're contestants on this Japanese game show. They have no idea what's going on. The host pulls out his cards, his talking cards, and turns to Sam, and in Japanese is like, okay, Sam Winchester, there's 20 seconds on the clock, and he reads off this question in Japanese. Sam is like, what? I don't understand. I don't know Japanese. And so the host repeats it again in Japanese.
What was the name of the demon that you chose over your own brother?
Yeah. And tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. And
that
Sam
buzz.
is like, I don't know.
I can't understand you.
The clock runs out, and you see the host is like, oh, you didn't get the question right.
Mm-hmm. The answer was
means
Ruby.
Ruby. Yep. Ruby is like, oh, that's right. Ruby. But since you didn't answer the question right, you know what that means. And when you least expect it, this giant hammer arm thing, springs up out of the platform that Sam was standing on and just nails him square in the nuts. Yeah. And as soon as it does that, everyone on stage is like, "Nutcracker!" Which is one of my favorite things to say. A nutcracker! Just because of the way he said it. It was awesome. And not only was it awesome, and did the audience think it was awesome, they played it over and over again.
Yes, in slow motion. Close-ups.
Sam
keeling over in pain. I cannot imagine how badly that hurt.
Loved
Valerie,
it.
Did you know that this is based off of a real show?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you actually see it? The real show?
I saw the clip. I looked it up and I watched the clips of it. It wasn't a game show. It was a skit.
It's a comedy show in which I think what was happening, because it's all in Japanese and there were no subtitles in the clip that I saw. But in the descriptions and stuff, it seems like they were trying to say a tongue twister.
Yes.
And they had to say it correctly. And if they did not, then they would get hit in the nuts with something almost that looked exactly like
almost identical.
Yeah.
Yes. And they also did a similar thing on Saturday Night Live with Chris Farley.
Oh yeah.
Where he was on a Japanese game show and he thought he was getting the answers right. And they like lead him up to this wall and they literally take alligator clamps from a battery, like to jumpstart your car and attach it to his nuts. And he's like, "Wait, what's going on?" And they're like, "You lose," and he's just like,
yeah.
Oh, it was very funny. I love the Japanese in their game shows.
I know. There's this really fun one that looks like a callback to what we were just talking about. It's like a wall that has a human shaped hole in it in a various pose. Like,
oh, and you've got to like run yourself through it.
Yes. Or it's like coming towards you.
And you've got to kind of like jump.
You have to like stick yourself into it. Otherwise, it's going to push you into like a pool of water or something like that.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'd do that.
I would too.
I'd do that. I'd probably get hit in the head though.
Yeah, I would definitely.
So poor Sam knocked in the nuts. And while they're doing a commercial break for prawn snacks, I should say.
The doors open again. And who pops in but Cass?
Cass comes in, which is very confusing.
Yes, for everyone. Like even Cass is like, "You guys have been missing for days. I've been like looking for you everywhere. Let's get out of here." And then he goes to do his like little angel 2-touch thing.
Teleport. Yeah.
Yeah. And he like
fuzzes out. Yeah.
Yeah. Like he got changed channels.
His channel was changed.
His channel was changed. That's a better way to say that.
Yeah. And it's like, what's going on? Like I thought that was part of the game show. Is that now Cass is a contestant on the game show type of thing. And that's not what was happening.
No, he just
I forgot about Cass.
And then the game show host then in English was like, "No, Trickster doesn't like pretty boy angels." I'm not going to do the accent because I don't want to be offensive.
I know. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done the nutcracker, but I love nutcracker. It's funny because of the way he says it. So
yes, and also the motion, the motion of the bar hitting you in the nuts.
I'm laughing because I don't have balls. Okay.
Yes. Now Dean realizes he's in the same contraption situation that Sam is in. So if he doesn't get this right, he's also going to get hit in the balls. For it. And now Sam is like, "Oh, wait, I played a doctor. I had no idea what I was doing. I just kind of guessed. So maybe you should just guess."
And he's like, "What? Learn Japanese?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So game show host comes back out of the commercial break or out of the sponsor break and pulls out his note cards and reads to Dean, reads him a question. And the question is, would your parents still be alive if Sam had never been born? 20 seconds on the clock. And as the clock ticks down, Dean actually shouts something out in Japanese. Mm-hmm. The answer is yes, my parents would still be alive if Sam had never been born, which is a heartbreaking answer.
Yeah. My side note was like, these are fucking mean questions.
Right? All against Sam.
And the sad part is they had no idea that these Dean answers yes, but he has no idea what he said or what he was answering. He says
it just happened to be. Yeah.
Yeah. He just opened his mouth and Japanese came out and he was like, "Great. I answered it correctly. I won the game. I do not get hit in the nuts.
He didn't. Yes, exactly. So he does win the game. He is the champion. He doesn't get hit in the nuts, but he also has no idea what the question was. Neither one of them know.
Yeah.
So yeah, poor Sam.
Yeah.
And
the Nutcracker champion.
And then Fizzy, 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 the channel gets changed. I call it Fizzy, Fizzy, but it was like fizzle out. It was like, it's
right.
It gets staticky.
So now they're like, oh, I get what he means by play the game. We just have to become these characters in these TV shows that he's throwing at us. But the next one he throws at him is a herpes commercial. And again, Sam gets the venereal
Sam's the victim of something with his balls or his dick. And I just see, and now we're seeing that they realize what's happening, and he's like, really?
Yeah.
Why? And of course, Dean is like, you got to play the game. Ha ha ha.
Yep.
So, and it's a brilliant commercial. It literally is. It could have been a Herpexia ad on TV.
Yes. I actually, because I Googled it just to say, like, I know this could be any kind of pharmaceutical commercial, but there was a commercial at the time called Valtrex that was almost identical to this one, where it was just people saying over and over again, I have genital herpes. There's even a girl doing yoga in it.
Americans are so stupid.
They're so dumb.
Oh my God.
I loved the list of
side effects.
Where it's like permanent erectile dysfunction, suicide thoughts, and nausea.
Did you hear who the voiceover was?
No.
It's Dean.
Oh my God. I have to watch that again now.
It's totally Dean.
I did not know that.
He's so like, side effects could be da 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 and nausea. Like he was so happy to not be the guy with genital herpes. Yes. And it brilliant. I also love the fact that towards the end, it's like guys playing basketball. The last shot of the scene, they like totally hoop it. It's like,
oh, they're good at basketball. I guess herpes doesn't prevent you from being good at basketball.
Yeah, exactly.
The camel toe shot was a bit much.
Yeah, or the old people who have genital herpes. Okay, thank you, Supernatural.
Poor Sam's crotch. Like he really got it in not only this episode, but just in this series. Because didn't he got itching powder in his underwear, right? So he had like itchy balls and butt crack. And then he got the clap just a couple of episodes ago from Hot Patrick.
And he got hit in the nuts.
And has genital herpes.
Yeah. I'm sure this won't be the last of it. So at the end of the commercial, it actually leads us back to
where we left off from the opening scene. So
the top.
So now it has been 2 days.
Yes.
Since they've been
them stuck in a TV show. In TV shows.
Yes.
So now we're back in the super bright green, flowery, motel with the Dagwood sandwich, which I love that it only has 2 little toothpicks on the top. Yes. It literally is a foot tall sandwich with 2 little toothpicks holding it together.
So Sam ushers this hot girl out, still in her bikini. Yes. And then like under their breath, they're like in ventriloquist style, they're like smiling, but saying like, how long do we have to keep doing this? Like it feels like forever.
Yeah, and the audience is still laughing, and they're like, why are you laughing at this? Stop.
Yeah.
No. So, but before the next thing that happens, one of the things I was like, okay, I get this. But now they know what's going on. When we first started the episode, and none of us knew what was going on, at that point in time, did they know what was going on? Because it didn't seem like they did. So that's for me, I was like, okay, I kind of get it, but at the same time, I guess you could just play with the idea that it wasn't a seamless transition between.
Yeah, right. Like if you were to take the opening scene and insert it into right now where we are in our discussion of the episode, like after the herpes commercial.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to the sitcom. Maybe other things have been happening up in there, but Sam was already reluctantly playing along with the herpes commercial. He's like, okay, fine. I'll say what you want me to say as long as it gets us to like a one-on-one meeting with you.
Right.
So then if they cut to this like terrible sitcom and they're just going along with it, like, oh, yeah, there's terrible acting in here. Like,
Yeah, son of a
Dean.
bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, obviously they couldn't reveal anything in the first scene, but again, I can accept them in this scene. I can't accept them in the first scene. That's just my thing. Okay. So, all right. So 2 days they've been stuck in this.
Yes.
At least.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now Cass comes back again. They're like, whoa, we're so happy to see you. Where did you go? And he's all beaten up. He's got like a bloody nose.
Yeah.
Cuts everywhere. And he's just like, doesn't really say. He's just like, I got out of wherever I was.
Yeah, there's something going on.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, did the trickster do this? He's like, it's something stronger.
Yes, it's like, is it a trickster though?
Is it a trickster?
Like
because
really powerful.
And just then,
cute trickster
was like blown across the room and knocked out against the wall, and in comes the trickster.
Yeah.
So now the trickster's on set.
Yes. And Cass has a big old piece of duct tape over his mouth, so he can't
say anything.
Talking.
Yeah.
But then he just poofs Cass away again, but his channel was changed to somewhere else. And
without knowing looks. Of course.
Yes. And now the boys their patience is gone. So Dean is now back to Mr. Threatening, his typical threatening stance. And Trickster's like, wait, hold on a minute. I don't mean you got to play along with TV Land. You got to do this out in the real world too.
Roles. Yeah. And they're like, what are you talking about? I actually love this particular scene, because it is a little in your face, but the explanation had to be made.
Yeah.
And so the trickster says, your roles are take on Lucifer, Sam. Dean, you have to take on Michael. Those are your roles.
Yeah.
This thing has to happen, which goes against what they were thinking in the beginning, is that the trickster wanted to,
help them out of it.
Help them out because he loves this partying lifestyle. He loves the women and song and the games and stuff, and that he can just keep having that as long as the apocalypse doesn't happen. So maybe he wants to help them. Clearly, that's not what's happening here, which is a bummer for both Sam and Dean.
Yeah. The fact that it's the complete opposite of like, no, let's hurry up this apocalypse. Do what you got to do to make the apocalypse happen.
Yeah.
Or you'll just be stuck in TV Land forever.
Sam and Dean are like, well, wait a second. So whose side are you on? Heaven, hell? And then Dean literally lays it out. He's like, you have to be on somebody's side. And he doesn't say it that way. He's like, you have to be grabbing ankle for somebody. I'm like, there's Dean.
Yep.
Graphic, but to the point. But then Trickster gives it back. He's like, listen, you arrogant dick. I'm like, wow. Facades are gone. These guys are just laying it out.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, okay. And he's like, don't you ever presume to know. And slams Dean against the wall. You'll play these by my rules, or that's it. You'll be stuck in TV Land forever, like you said. Which is funny that Dean earlier was like, this isn't TV Land. TV Land has, 300 channels. TV Land is fun.
Yeah. I think it gives more of a hint later on when the trickster says, you have to play the roles that destiny gave you.
I missed
For me, that was
like
a big thing. Like, why would the trickster care about destiny?
Destiny, right. I didn't think about that. And then he's like, snappy snap, and channels change into another brilliant supernatural rendition.
I loved this clip so much.
I loved it. It was so spot on. So they literally morph into an episode of CSI Miami.
Yes, there is no question.
There's no dancing around it. It is
because they even play the same theme song that CSI Miami does.
The Who,
The Who's.
Who Are You?
No, that's the original CSI is Who Are You? Each CSI show has a different Who song.
Oh, that's right.
This one I think is You Won't Get Fooled Again, I think.
Won't Get Fooled Again. You're right. You are right.
Yes.
That is right.
But they played that song. Maybe not exactly the same clip that the show itself used, but it was part of You Won't Get Fooled Again. And I was like, this is absolutely CSI Miami.
Oh, God, it was brilliant. So
and
the scene is
I love that Dean just rails against procedural cop shows. I love
procedural cop
I love a procedural cop show.
What is always on at your house? What is always on at your house?
Yes, it's either Law and Order SVU, original CSI, which I think is the
Best
top
one.
tier.
That's the Vegas one. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But the only reason I watch, oh God, I did watch CSI Miami.
Obviously, Kripke or the writers hate
David
show.
Caruso. It's brilliant. It literally starts, it's dark, it's a crime scene at night. So there's police tape, there's a body, there's guys in the, CSI jackets walking around and stuff.
They're wearing sunglasses at night.
And they're just like, what the hell? It's like, we are douchebags at night, like wearing sunglasses and stuff. And I did read a little blurb that they both studied, both Jensen and Jared studied hours of David Caruso and CSI Miami to get this right, to the point where it started working its way into like rehearsals in other episodes and things like that. Like they would just be like,
I don't feel like you need to do hours of research to get this down, because
it was so down though.
Because this was David Caruso every 5 minutes in an episode of CSI Miami. He does a one-liner and then either takes sunglasses off or puts them on.
The head tilt.
Everything. I thought Jared's was way better. He wins perfection.
Yes, he was absolutely, even the jaw, even the forward jaw tilt when he would do it.
The voice, like Jensen's was decent, but no, Jared gets the gold star for this. It was,
yes, they were brilliant,
amazing.
Jared was literally channeling David Caruso.
Yes.
But I think he held on to it in other episodes and in other rehearsals for other episodes. Like they would do that.
This is the one I was talking about. I feel like they filmed this scene first and then Sam went into the
Hulk.
The Hulk interrogation scene. It felt a little like there was some David Caruso residual in there.
Oh yeah, I could totally see that. Yes. Okay.
Amazing.
Way too much fun with this because they both looked at each other and went, okay, he said play the roles. We're going to play the roles. Mm-hmm. And so they bit in the teeth and they went into it.
Yes. So
they go over to the dead body and they're asking the CSI tech, who just happens to be eating a lollipop, a la Sweet Tooth.
Yeah.
And they ask him questions about the murder, and with every answer they have one of those stupid metaphor quips.
One-liner,
one-liners
with the sunglass move.
Yes,
it says one-liner after one-liner after one-liner after. It's just like quip. 5 minutes. Yeah.
And what you don't realize though is that while they're doing this one-liners, Jensen has picked up a stick and is gently poking at the bloody wounds of this guy who's on the ground, and stabs the CSI tech like right through the gullet with this stick that he's been poking around in this dead man's blood, which we know from previous episodes, to kill the trickster, he needs to be run through with a wooden stake that's been dipped in the blood of one of his
previous victim,
right? So and this guy falls on the ground and twitches, bleeds out, and dies.
Yep.
And they're like, oh. Whoops.
Yep.
And just then, the trickster, who's been in disguise as one of the CSI techs, is like, ha, ha, ha. And we see him, he morphs out, stabs the wrong guy. And just then, Sam is like, did we? And stabs him from behind, runs him through with an actual stake, and just gets him from behind.
Yep, completely impales him. Trickster falls down to the ground, doesn't move. The scene around them disappears. So now they're back in real life.
In the
wherever they
mill.
are.
Yeah, that abandoned sawmill or whatever. The music goes back from The Who to now it's back to supernatural music
ambiance
again.
music.
All that's, yes. We're like, sweet.
Yes. So they're back at the motel. Dean's brushing his teeth and worrying about Cass because he still hasn't shown up and they can't find him, to Sam, but Sam isn't there. Yep. He's like, where did he go? Calls him, no answer. Gets in the car. Turns out Sam is the car.
Yeah. Okay. So he's Kit from Knight Rider.
I have not seen this show. I only knew this was a Knight Rider clip because the subtitles said Dean from Knight Rider.
Okay, again, another TV show I used to watch. I used to play Knight Rider as a kid on my bike with my cousin. We used to like ride our bikes really fast and go pew, turbo mode and jump over things. We thought we were the coolest thing ever, even though it was David Hasselhoff. We didn't know that David Hasselhoff was not someone to emulate. But yeah, so Knight Rider, Kit is a talking computer car. I have to say, as much as I loved this, I hated that they turned Baby into Kit. Baby should never be Kit.
What kind of car was Kit?
A Trans Am, a 1980 something Trans Am. So not a Smokey and the Bandit Trans Am.
Right.
It was a not good Trans Am.
Yeah, a not good one. Okay.
Very 80s. Very 80s. But yeah, so the theme music for Knight Rider is going, Sam is actually Kit. Anytime Kit speaks on the dash, he had this like little waveform.
Yeah, I don't really know anything about Knight Rider, except I figured it was about a talking car. I thought this was a clever clip, a clever show to copy, because Dean loves his car so much, and then Sam turns into the car. I was like, oh, this is fun.
Yes. I mean,
that was a fun choice.
It was a fun choice. They played it up, which was great, especially when they parked the car and Dean is like rummaging around in the trunk and Sam is like, I feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah, which is like when you watched Knight Rider, you're like, I wonder why he never said things like that.
Yeah.
So I totally get it. Quick side note. Did you notice the sign? So Dean pulls off on the side of the road at like a campsite somewhere.
Yes. And they pull off because they're doing like this driving montage scene, and they're discussing like, okay, so we didn't kill the trickster again. Right. Like, how does he keep avoiding us? What if the trickster isn't actually a trickster? And as they're kind of like rehashing, like, okay, what were the things that were bothering him? What does he keep talking about? Why does he want us to actually play our roles in the Armageddon? Why is he so bothered about Cass? And then Dean, like, it's a light bulb. He's like, oh, shit, I know what this is. So then they pull off. But yeah, they pull off in a rest stop area.
Did you see the sign that they pulled past? It's the same park area where in the pilot, the woman in white picks up her victims. Yep. It's
nice.
What is it called? The something Centerville Point Wilderness Area. It just so happens that was another call. That was a call out to the pilot.
Oh, fun.
That was.
I figured the sign because they just showed it so much, and
it also didn't help that where he was parked, there was a sign like behind them too that said the exact same thing. So I was like, this must mean something.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dean gets out of the car. Now we have to call the trickster. And Sam's like, should I honk my horn? Oh, God. I was like, again, belies the seriousness of what actually is happening. Yeah. But so Dean's like, all right, you win, motherfucker. You know, come on out.
He shouts uncle.
Uncle. So that's right.
Trickster shows up. He's like, all right, guys, you ready? Let's go. First, you got to turn Sam back. Okay, Sam's human again. Big bummer for Trickster. And then, yes, now he's like, okay, you ready to go? And they say, almost. Flick the lighter. Lights a circle of oil fire on the ground. The Trickster is magically standing right in center of, like, he was too
cocky. He was too cocky. He was all excited that he got to, turn Sam into a car and belittle him. And he got too cocky. And so Sam and Dean got one up on him. And was able to encircle him in a ring of holy oil.
Yes.
Which then it's like, okay, gig is up. Yep. So now they're back in the warehouse. The sawmill, the warehouse. Yes. So beautiful shot, by the way. There was still some good cinematography in this. This one shot pulled up from giant flooded pool on the floor, and you could see the flames that was encircling the trickster, and the camera just pulls. I just love reflection shots. It was a really cool reflection shot. Yeah.
So trickster, not a trickster, but an angel. And not just an angel, but Gabriel, the archangel.
And he reluctantly admits it. And it's kind of funny that they're like, who are you?
Yeah.
And you literally see him deflate. He's like, Gabriel. They call me Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
And so he realizes that he's revealed. He's been wearing this persona as the trickster. And we learn that he's hiding himself from his family.
Yeah, he ran away from home.
Yeah.
Got a face transplant, which this has got to be
face transplant.
Face plant. I've never heard the terms face transplant so many times in one piece of media. Even Face Off. Even Face Off, I don't think that they say face transplant as much. Yeah.
One of my exes is in that.
What?
Yes!
Like a big part? Or just like walk by?
It literally is one of those. There he is! I get to do one of those. That was actually one of his selling points to me.
He was at Face Off. Oh no. Oh
no. You should date me because. Did it work? Yes.
That's the worst part about it.
I know. Especially because then once I watched the movie and like found him, I was like, oh. That's okay. Not everybody is the star.
And you're not even the star in Face Off. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay.
My youth.
Yeah.
My youth.
Okay. So anyway, Gabriel,
Archangel.
The archangel. Yeah. He's just pissed that the whole thing has even happened. He was like tired of his brothers fighting. That's why he ran away. He is tired of his dad being so absent. Yeah. He's mad that this apocalypse thing is even starting. He just wants it over.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to watch it again.
Yeah.
He knows what this means.
Yeah.
This means that he has to watch his brothers kill themselves, kill each other. You know, I don't know if it's again, but the fight continues. And it continues as it does in heaven, on earth it shall happen.
Yes.
So whatever he fled is now happening again. And it's all because of Sam and Dean.
Yeah.
Because they were born to it. Their destiny is to be Lucifer, is to be Michael.
I know, because Dean is the good little soldier who always follows daddy's orders, and
absent father.
Absent father. And Sam is the one who rebels against him. So that equally reflects Michael and Lucifer.
Yeah, you've got God, John, you've got Dean, Michael, and poor Sam, Lucifer.
Yeah.
All right, bright shining lights. We now know. If you didn't figure it out, they've spelled it out for us again.
Yeah. This was like, I don't know if they were this was meant to be like a big bomb that was dropped. And I don't know. No. And I don't know if this is because I know the story so well and the show so well and have seen these episodes so much. But it felt like, and I know you don't like know the Harry Potter universe very well, but in, what is it? It's either the 6th or the 7th book. I think it's the 7th book.
There's 7 books?
Yes. Maybe it was the 5th one. Anyway, and towards the end of the series, they make this big quote unquote revelation, like this big reveal, like, oh my God. But by the time you got there, it's like, well, that I kind of figured that. Like,
Luke, I am your father. I know. We figured that out.
Yes. So it felt a little like that. And I wasn't sure if they were trying to make this a big revelation. Where it's like, okay, this is the same information you've been giving us.
Yeah.
All season
I think
so far.
For me, the revelation was that it's not just about Sam and Dean. I mean, I did feel a little bit for Gabriel because he put it in a sense of, you know, I don't want to see my family fighting anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it was tearing him apart. It's going to tear him apart. So let's just get it over with so that we're all just done with the pain.
Yeah.
This is about you specifically and my family specifically.
Yeah.
I liked it. It wasn't a ta-da moment.
Yes.
But I think it just kind of laid it out a little bit differently, I think.
Yes. And I guess also when he says that one brother must kill the other.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not about good versus evil.
To hear that out loud, to hear say, no, one of you has to kill the other in order for this to end. Like, that's what ends it. It's not like you guys like fight and then that ends the apocalypse. It's one of you has to kill the other, and then we see which side wins. Which, obviously that's how a war would end, is like one side has to lose. But to hear someone say one of you has to kill the other can kind of be like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I
find that.
I find it interesting that in any TV show that humanizes Lucifer versus Michael, Lucifer is always the underdog.
Yeah,
he's always the one who is the misunderstood brother who's actually fighting for good. He's actually fighting for the family. He's actually. And it's just kind of interesting to see that dynamic. And it's kind of there. We know we're not supposed to like Lucifer, you know, obviously because he is, you know, the devil.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you look at Michael, you're like, the way he's portrayed in television, I should say.
Yeah.
Not very redeeming.
Right. It's like, I don't want to root for you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like at all. But after a moment of silence, Dean says, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
And Gabriel's like, you don't really have a choice. This is unavoidable. And Dean's like, no, I'm choosing no. Yeah. So, sorry.
So, bye. We're just going to leave you in this little fire, fire circle.
Yeah, bring back Cass. You know, bring him back from whatever hellish channel you've, like, put him to.
Yep.
They bring back Cass, and then they have, like, a face-off.
That's also one of those fourth wall moments where they're like, I wish this was a TV show. Oh, wait a minute. We are watching a TV show, but you know. Yeah. Give us Cass back or we're going to kill you. You know, you're just going to, roast.
Yeah. We'll like douse you in holy oil and, light you on fire.
And then Cass is back, still beaten and bloody.
Yeah.
But now it's
Gabriel. Like, the look he gives Gabriel is like...
Yes, it's like, hello, Gabriel. Hello, Castiel. Clearly, they know each other because they're angel brothers.
Hey, bro.
Hey, bro. Yeah. Still looking for daddy. How's that going? Terrible?
Silence.
Yeah. Yep. So now I have to say it is very clear that, if they haven't made it clear earlier, God is absent from the world right now. They've alluded to it a number of times, but this really kind of drilled it home that Cass hasn't found God. Gabriel knows that God is missing.
Yeah, an archangel is like, God is not here, man. Like, he disappeared.
We're making it what we can on our own. So I don't know why you're even looking for him. So that's actually kind of scary.
They leave, and Gabriel's like, yo, I'm stuck in this car. You're just going to leave me here? Dean, being the hero that he is like, no, I'm not, because I'm a good person.
I am not like you.
But you got to realize that this is about you not being able to stand up to your family.
Pussy. That's what was missing.
Yes. And then he pulls a fire alarm, which then showers down and douses the fire.
Which is funny because water does not extinguish an oil fire. Just FYI.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. I also wonder, like, would the fire have lasted forever? I mean, I don't know how holy oil works, but at one point, wouldn't it all burn off?
Right, but maybe not because it's holy oil.
Right, so maybe that's why the water works.
Yes, exactly. Because, the real world versus
the magical oil.
The magic oil of Christ.
But it was interesting that the fire goes out well before they even exit the building. Like, what is stopping Gabriel from just
being like,
poof? Yeah.
Poof, yeah. I think it was him sitting in his revelations, and that Sam and Dean may have one up on him.
Mm-hmm.
And water from a fire suppression unit sucks. I don't know if you've ever been caught in fire suppression. It's disgusting. Oh. But I would just say that he was beaten. It's kind of like, had he been physically knocked out in a prize fight, so to speak, I think he was bested, and I think he knew it in that moment. So there was no point.
I'm not buying that because he's an archangel and he's all powerful. I mean, maybe his feelings would have been hurt, but he also could have been like, fuck you.
Fuck you. Yeah, exactly. He could have, but he didn't. But he didn't
for whatever reason. That's essentially the end of the episode. The guys are just like, well, what do we do now?
What do we do now? Yeah. Cass is standing outside.
Yeah.
And
we don't even get like a wrap up of Cass. Like, Cass doesn't come by and be like, well, that happened.
Guys. Yeah. I've been falling for 30 minutes. You know, there's none of that. So that was an episode that I had to go back and validate my angst about, only for that stupid son of a bitch line. That is the thing, the overacting and the stupidity of that first scene killed me. I was so angry watching this.
even after you know like what was going on?
No. Okay. No, I mean, yes, but no. I got to the end of the episode and I was like, what the fuck was that? So I had to go back. I mean, obviously for the podcast, we watched the shows more than once, right? Mm-hmm. I had to go back, but first I had to read what other people said because I was so like, what is going on? Like, why? And to see that this was, put in for an Emmy, that this is one of the best watch. Every review said this was fucking brilliant. Every review. And I just that first scene, the stupidity of it just had me so angry that my heroes of this TV show were portrayed so moronically. But I mean, yes, it's correct for what it is. The sitcom. I haven't watched sitcoms in years.
Well, that's why, because they suck like that.
They suck like that. And I'm no longer a child who thinks that stuff is funny.
Right. Yeah. They portrayed like an 80s or 90s sitcom very well.
Yes, they did.
Like Full House or the Steve Urkel show, which Family Matters.
Right.
They had that flavor about them. And while as a kid, yes, I loved Full House as a kid, or Who's the Boss. Sometimes I've caught Who's the Boss at my parents' house, and I watch it and I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible.
This is so bad. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Changing channels.
I guess not your favorite episode, but I loved it.
No.
I loved it, except for the meanness towards Sam. And it was even sadder that they didn't realize it, where they're asking these terrible questions like, who's the demon that you chose over your own flesh and blood? Yeah. Or would your parents still be alive if you didn't exist?
And no recognition from either one of them about the terribleness of what was just.
Yeah, because everybody they had no audience knows.
It's laughing at people.
We the audience know, and they don't, and that was really sad. Honestly, it was really heartbreaking.
Yeah, and because I actually think that Dean would have stood up for Sam, if he had known at least the parental question. The Ruby question, he may have acknowledged, yeah. True.
Yeah, been like, fuck. Yeah, I'm reminded of this again. Yes, I know what I did. Yeah. But the parent one, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I didn't, normally I'm all Team Dean. I don't approve of just Sam bashing. I really don't.
Yeah.
But I also just hated the idea of our heroes looking like such clowns.
Yeah.
I don't like that. It's one thing when they have their downfalls. Or if they have their funny moments between them, because of their own foibles. But I don't like them looking like fools.
Right.
I really don't. Although I say that, I laughed really hard in season 1 when during the bad luck, the rabbit foot when Sam had all the bad luck. That was fucking funny.
Mm-hmm.
But that was funny situationally. That wasn't funny personally, you know.
Well, one could argue this was also situationally, but
this was crueler, I think. Again, I had to see what other people said about this episode to kind of wean me off of my intense anger about that first.
And then it made you more angry because no one agreed with you.
It's true, but it made me realize that I was maybe over angry about something that I maybe need to watch another episode. Yeah, I like the heroes to be heroes.
Yeah. So beyond the TV stuff, I do love that they made the trickster into an archangel. I really like that twist.
Yes.
I love that twist. And I don't think because when we first meet the trickster, it's season 1 or 2?
It's 2.
Okay. But
it's 2.
Still in season 2, I don't believe that Kripke and the team were heading in the direction of angels versus demons and apocalypse and all of that. So the trickster was indeed just a trickster or Loki or what have you.
Right.
And then maybe even in Mystery Spot. I'm not sure if that was the end game for him either, but maybe because at the end,
because they didn't kill him.
They didn't kill him. And also he was like, no, Sam, this is destiny. This is what's going to happen. Like,
yeah, I think they knew by then. I also think they know that they liked the Richard Speight of things.
Oh, yes.
So
Richard Speight is excellent as the trickster, but he was also excellent at the dramatic parts at the end. So a really versatile actor.
Director, writer.
Yes.
Jesus. The man just took over.
Multi-hyphenate. Yeah, he did.
He ends up taking over Supernatural. That's okay.
Yeah. So that was Changing Channels.
Yeah.
A very divided opinion amongst the two of us. The next episode is The Real Ghostbusters, which
I like this one.
I do too. I let this one play on because I was like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. This one was fun.
Yeah.
Remember,
I mean, talk about meta moments. Like in this past episode, when you have to dig to find the call outs. This one is like, you do not have to dig.
Yes. Yeah, I actually can't wait to talk about this one.
Yeah, that's going to wrap up our discussion on Changing Channels. Please feel free to give us a follow, a subscribe, a like, whatever it is on each podcast platform that exists out there. We would love to have you. You can also give us a good rating if you like us. If you don't like us, just leave us alone. It's fine. Move on. But a good rating we would love to have. You can also follow us on all social media. We are Salt and Burn This everywhere. We're on YouTube. You can listen to our episodes on YouTube. We
rock on YouTube.
Yeah. People like us on YouTube, which is good. Yeah. Maybe someday we'll put our faces out there once we get our shit together. You keep threatening to do that. So anyway, point is you can find us in a lot of places and we would love to have you. So we will see you next time for The Real Ghostbusters. All right. Thanks, everyone. See you later. Bye.
Bye.